right. So I'm working on that right now.
Good morning. Good morning.
Posters were on your walls growing up? Like, what would have spoken to you at that time in your life?
Good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Nobody's on.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
How you all doing this morning?
All right,
Good morning,
Diane.
Diane. How are you?
Just fine, thank you. And good morning, good morning, good morning. I got a smile on my face and love in my heart.
Yes,
That's
you
a
do.
good thing.
Yes, you do. Thank God for all of that. Thank God for all that good stuff.
Yep, more smiles and less stress.
Amen.
Oh, wait a minute. I got to turn my thing on. Okay.
Yeah, turn your thing on. Turn your thing on.
The TV off, man.
Yeah.
I don't want them yelling at me.
You know what, y'all? I went on the internet this morning looking for inventors and I read everything. Do you know I can't remember a thing? I hope it comes to mind when she started asking questions. And that's when I realized, you know how when you're in school and you know, some people had to study very hard to get things, you know, as a teen, you know, when you're taking tests and stuff, I was never good at tests. And I didn't, and the only way I got good was to remember things. I had to put them on my fingers and toes.
All right. All right.
Does that, but I didn't learn this until I was in my 70s.
Okay.
You know, when I started taking, well, in my 60s, when I started taking tests again. And I guess that's why they call me dummy all my life.
What? Don't know. Never down.
No,
yourself.
I'm seriously, I was called dumb Diane all my
even
life.
let them.
Well, I don't acknowledge it
that.
now, but I just realized that how I learned stuff was in my late 60s and 70s was by association with my fingers.
Okay. I
And-
still do association with my saying the pledge, putting my hand on my heart for my left and my right.
Right.
I get confused sometimes, and I was teaching driving.
By any means necessary.
Yeah,
Right.
but I mean, and you do it in secret that nobody can tell what you're doing.
That's
So
Right.
I used to act like I was just patting my heart. Yeah, Ronald, I put your recipe in, but I couldn't call it Ronald's Captain Crunch French Toast because we can't put the name Captain Crunch in the title of your recipe. But what I did instead, I said Ronald's Crunchy Toast and put Captain Crunch in the ingredients of the recipe.
Nice move, real nice move.
And it's all in there now. Your recipe's in there. All four Diane's recipes are in there. So
that's good. That's good to hear. My heart and my mind really need that right now. Thank you so much.
It is in there. It's done. You'll get a chance at some point. I don't know when, Sandra, I don't know when we'll be showing the next version, the next update.
Right.
So we'll have to think about that. Yeah, yesterday I didn't get any sleep last night because yesterday when I was on the phone with Sandra, somebody knocked on my door and they wouldn't say anything. And then when my husband came, he was at practice, at rehearsal. And when he came home, I had to go outside and move the car so he can have a parking space in front of the house. But what he told me was that when he was parked out front waiting for me to come outside, the police had not stopped him, but asked him, was he all right? And he said, yeah. And so Sandra and I deduced that they were looking for somebody, but they wouldn't say anything. And the person that was knocking on my front door, because nobody knock on my door unless they expect it,
Right.
you know, and I was really suspicious. Oh man, I ain't go to sleep because I felt like I was on guard.
Right. Well, you know, I wouldn't open my door after dark because I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting nobody. Then I
Mhm.
wouldn't open my door after dark. And I lived in an apartment.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even acknowledge the
Acknowledge.
door. Right.
Yeah, but I was scared. Now, I mean, I was thinking it was him coming home early
Right.
because kind of calculating when he would come home. But then he called me, you know, so he said, I'm out front, but there's no parking. I said, okay, so I'm gonna park the car around the corner. And once we get off this meeting, I'm gonna go out there and move my car to the front of the house again.
Right.
And his car is parked out front. But I'm like, these people, everybody, it seems like everybody's out of control. You know,
Yeah.
they doing too much.
Good
Uh-huh.
morning.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello, how
everybody.
you doing
Good
today?
morning.
Good
How
morning.
you?
Hello.
And have they
Good morning.
come
Good
through?
Good
morning.
morning.
Been pretty bad. It's been bad for them. Let's say that. It's
I
been
think
pretty bad.
I think it's just the times we live in.
Amen. It's not the same time we grew up in.
Nope.
Right.
Because you can fall asleep with your front and back door open, wide open.
Back
Yes.
then, yeah.
I remember somebody ran through our house on Alabama Avenue. He was running from
What?
somebody, and he ran right through the house. He ran through the house, up the stairs, and out the back door because we had a duplex. So he ran out the back
Oh,
door. It was fun.
really?
And my mother was like, "Who in the heck was that?" We'll know. Somebody was after him, but he got away.
No, because he'd have ran through my house. He'd been laid out.
Well, you know, when we were growing up, we knew everybody in the neighborhood, you know, within the 3-block area. You know, like I lived on 16th Street. I knew everybody lived on Levis Street. Everybody lived up the block on 16th Street. And half the people on the other side, you know, we knew the people because all of them had children.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that was a different day and time.
Yeah.
Truly it was, because
A different day
our
and time.
parents raised their kids. I don't know what these parents do.
It was a respect thing back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't have any at all now.
Yeah, you get on the bus or the train and you have fun, but you wouldn't be cursing and acting a fool because somebody's mom or grandmom or somebody was on that bus
And you
They
liable to
tell-
got
to disrespect. Well, back then we would stand and give
Well,
a
not only
lady
that.
your seat.
Right,
Let a lady
yeah.
sit down. But
Yeah,
I know
they don't
that's
do
right.
that.
nowadays,
I have seen them on the bus and see an older person that could barely stand up. Come on the
Yeah.
bus. You think they get up?
Not
no more.
Mhm.
They look at them and turn their head.
Yeah.
I've had to ride
And
the
the
bus.
bus drivers used to tell you, you know, back in the day, they tell you, you know, you can't have this or that until you have to get off the bus. But now
And they would
don't say
stop the
nothing.
bus.
They don't say
Yeah,
nothing.
they would
to you
stop
now.
the bus and say, until you get out.
That's
But you
right.
know-
They don't say nothing to you now because they scared.
Right.
You know, they have a button on the bus that they can push. The police will come directly to them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a
But
shame.
they
that
don't do it. They
that's
don't
what
do
you
it.
do.
They don't do it. They just
I've
keep
had-
riding the bus and pay no attention what's going on instead of doing that. So
I've
once
had
they
to
get,
ride the bus. I've had to ride the bus back and forth to GW for my treatments.
Mhm.
And school kids would get on in the afternoon, and my
Yeah,
goodness.
Oh Lord.
ridiculous.
I mean, and the young
And they
ladies,
be
the
smoking
young
on the
ladies,
bus.
the
And
young
they be
ladies could cuss.
smoking.
The young ladies could cuss better than the boys, and I
Yeah.
was just
Yes.
amazed.
That's really sad.
And they
Yes.
be smoking too on the bus.
Oh, they
Yeah,
do everything.
that
But
right there gets on my nerves. It's not just
Yeah.
Mhm.
on the bus. It's while they driving the car down the street. You throw up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No, y'all know what? Whatever they
Hmm.
smoking now, it was
It's
a
not
car
real herb.
across. It was
Yeah,
a
they got
car
it's
across the street.
chemicals.
I don't know, is embalming fluid and everything else. I looked it up and I'm like, come on, are they crazy? They ain't gonna need to be embalmed.
But see, they
But
don't know. They so young that they don't know what the real marijuana used to smell like.
No,
But
no,
this
no, 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 no.
I
But
know.
my
smell like a
thing
dead
is,
skunk.
oh
Hmm.
God, a dead
But
skunk.
back in the day, that bomb fluid they smoked, it
They
used to be
called it
called
angel.
angel dust and
Yep,
stuff
angel
like
dust.
that. And it was real
Hmm.
green. And
No,
it
no,
was,
no. I'm talking about real embalming fluid. They are soaking this stuff in embalming fluid.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. But back in the day, we call it angel dust.
Angel dust.
Now it's called
Should be called rock.
what you call it? Oh God. Not
Dippers.
wacky weed. Wacky weed used to be out there too in the day. But now it's called what is this they smoke? They call it, oh God. They stick it in. I know they dip it down in the water.
They
You got
call it
all,
Embalming
dippers.
fluid
They
water.
they
That's
do call it the
Formaldehyde.
They
water,
call
and
it
they call it
dippers and
dipper.
everything.
they
yeah,
call them
dipper.
dippers
Mhm.
now.
Dipper, and
Good
And it's some other
water.
thing.
morning.
Good morning. How
Good
you
morning,
doing?
all. Like
Good
to
morning, Miss
welcome-
Teresa.
Welcome Ronald back. We missed you while you were gone.
Well, I still got some things. I still have a lot of things to take care of, but
I
I
imagine.
just
so.
needed to see some smiling faces and
Oh,
fit in. That's
well,
all.
Good
give him,
I
morning.
love this James gang.
give him the
We
smiling
We love you
faces.
too.
Good. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what we're doing this morning.
Black
Yay.
and different.
All right.
James.
Yeah,
I've been
doesn't that
waiting
look
for
lovely?
this. Yeah, I've been waiting for this.
Yes, I know. So basically, African Americans have been the victims of oppression, discrimination, and persecution throughout American history. With an impact on African American innovation, they found in a study in 2014 that led out by Lisa D. Cook, linked violence towards African Americans and a lack of legal protections over the period between 1870 to 1940 to lure innovations. Despite this, many Black innovators have been responsible for a large number of major inventions. Yes, major ones. And
Yes.
in my research in the last, I started it about a week ago, I learned a lot. And I'm hoping that the same happens with you today. They're saying from colonial times through today, Americans of African American and Caribbean descent have contributed to the advancement of medicine, physics, industrialization, and plain old fun. Yes, we've done them all. Okay, we will look at a few of the many modern day African American inventors, as well as the biography of their predecessors throughout American history. All right, so we're going to look at some of the modern ones. For example, many modern conveniences and necessities are directly related to or derivative of the inventions of Black inventors. So let's look at it. Look at this image that I have here. I have many of them.
Yes.
And we're going to look at who's doing what here. Can you imagine the computer, the first one? Yes, it came from, yes, we'll look at the person who did that. All right, so the blood bank, the refrigerator, electric, yes, trolley, even the dustpan, the ironing board, the clothes dryer, the traffic light, pen and pencil, sharp, all these different things, yes. So our very first one we're going to look at today is Mark E. Dean. He is an American inventor and computer engineer. He developed the ISA bus, and he led the design team for making the 1 gigahertz computer processor chip. He holds 3 of the 9 PC personal computers patents for being the co-creator of the IBM personal computer. So the
Oh,
very
right.
first
I
personal
remember him.
IBM computer, we have to give credit to him, Dr. Mark.
Mhm.
Of course, there's a story why IBM didn't make it as big as Bill Gates did. And there's a story behind that, but we'll look at that at another reason, another time. So let's find out more about Dr. Mark Dean. He was born, he's pretty young. Look at his age. He was born in 1957. He was educated, 1957 at Jefferson City, Tennessee. Educated at Stanford University, University of Tennessee, and Florida Atlantic University. He was
Excuse me a
married to
minute,
Denise.
Teresa.
Hello.
Teresa, Brenda says she can't get on. She's been
She can't
trying.
get on?
No, yeah, she's been trying to call the help desk.
Well, yeah, because she does have, this is Brenda McManus.
Yes.
I can't really help her at this point. She'll need to
Okay.
call the help desk, yes.
Okay, thank you, Teresa.
What else? As a child, Mark Dean excelled in math. In elementary school, he took advanced level math courses, and in high school, Dean even built his own computer, radio, and amplifier. Yes. Then he continued on and went on to college. Okay. Here's another person, recent, modern time, Valerie Thomas. Her name is really now Dr. Thomas because she then went back to school. But when she did this that we're going to talk about, she wasn't even a PhD at that point. After seeing, she invented the illusion transmitter that led to the creation of 3D movies. Anybody watched Avatar?
Mhm.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it was done in 3D, right?
Yes.
That's who you give credit to.
Cool.
Yeah. After seeing an illusion that involved concave mirrors and light bulbs in a museum, she became curious about how she might apply concave mirrors in her work at NASA. Let's find out more about her. Yes, she's now Dr. Valerie Thomas. In 1993, she was awarded an honorary doctorate for her work at Monmouth University. In 1995, Thomas retired from her position as Associate Chief of NASA's Space Science Data Operations Office. She has received numerous accolades for her invention, including NASA Goddard Space Flight Center Award of Merit and NASA's Equal Opportunity Medal. Yes, that's how she looks today. Isn't she gorgeous?
Yes.
All right.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah. Now, here's another computer. Bet you guys don't know about this one.
I
Anybody
do.
knows about him?
I do.
Oh, I don't know about him.
He's from Africa.
Yep. Thank you, Diane. That says you read a lot.
No, I read it this morning. It's one of them things I was telling them about earlier.
Okay. He's the inventor of the world's fastest computer. Yes.
And we never hear about that, you know?
Yes. But he got his skills from here. Let's learn more about him. In 1989, and I don't want to do dishonor to his name, so I'm going to do my very best to pronounce it. Emeagwali.
You can call him Dr. Phillips.
We didn't call him Dr. Phillips. Created the knowledge. Thousands of electronic brains called processors could perform a supercomputer. His discovery was against the prevailing dogma. The president of the leading supercomputer company told to the New York Times. They're saying that the reinvention, because someone else did it, but he came back and did a much more faster one.
Right.
The reinvention supercomputer costs up to $4 million a piece. It eats more power than a city of 5,000 residents and is powered by 65,000 electronic brains or interconnected processors. The supercomputer is 100,000 times faster than a desktop computer and occupies a space of 4 tennis courts. 4. It is presently a $6 billion year industry. Yes, he did that.
And that kind of thing is what helped brought the cloud computer in now too.
Yep, thank you for adding that component. That's what cloud computing is all about. Holding and hosting all the data. Okay. All right, the next person, Dr. Patricia Bath. Now, how many of you had
Ophthalmology.
cataracts, had problems with cataracts?
Yeah,
I
My
do.
brother,
Many,
my
right?
mother and my
Mhm.
brother.
Right, I've even got one developing too, I was told. So now imagine sitting in a doctor's office without being able to see her as she explains that it may be possible to restore your vision. She invented an improved device for laser cataract surgery. Her invention was called the laser photocope probe, which she patented. Before 1985, she was the plight of those with cataracts who did not want to risk surgery with a mechanical grinder. Patricia Eros Bath, that's her middle name. She was born November 4th, 1942 in New York City, Harlem neighborhood, to Rupert Bath, the first Black motorman for the New York City subway system, and Gladys Bath, a housewife and domestic worker who used her salary to save money for her children's education. She made sacrifices, and I'm sure many of you have done the same, right? For your kids.
yes.
Yes.
You.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Children and
Patricia,
grandchildren.
yep, Patricia invented the laser focal, a new device and technique to remove cataracts. It performed all steps of cataract removal, making the incision, destroying the lens, and vacuuming out the fractured pieces. Bath is recognized as the first Black physician to receive a medical patent.
And I'm glad to see
Wow.
that because in the past, when the Blacks created all these inventions, they didn't get the patent because of the way situation was in the country.
Right.
Yeah.
And
And
we'll
they didn't financially benefit from the patents either. So I'm glad to see that now Black people are getting their patents and their dues.
Very true. Here's Dr. James E. West, co-inventor of the Paul electric transducer, an inexpensive but highly sensitive device that revolutionized the sound of industry and is now the basis of sound transmission in most cell phones and hearing devices. Yes, cell phones.
Oh wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? Right, let's find out more about him. West was born in the rural community of Farmville, Virginia. His interest in electricity sparked when he was about 9 years old and plugged in an old radio into an outlet while standing on a metal bed on a humid day. An
Ooh.
electrical charge temporarily paralyzed his body, but made him a more lasting impression on his mind. Yep.
It definitely sent a spark through him.
Yep. So all these hearing devices that we have now, like all this stuff, this is the what it's called, the earbuds here.
Yeah.
Giving credit to him, Dr. West. Okay, here's Maria Van Britten Brown. Created an invention that was the first in a long string of home security inventions that continues to the market today.
To date, right.
Let's find out more about her. She was 43 years old, African-American nurse who worked long, late hours before returning home to her Jamaica, Queens in New York City. Her husband, Albert Brown, an electronic technician, was away many nights. She worked night shifts as a nurse, and she often felt vulnerable in her Jamaica neighborhood. Brown managed to convert her fear into a viable idea. Enlisting the practical knowledge of her husband, a Black electronic technician named Albert Brown, she designed the country's first known video home security system.
Wow.
A nurse, yes.
I had heard about somebody Black who had invented this, the home security system. And I'm glad to see it because, and I'm glad even more that it's a woman.
Out of fear, she did it.
Wow.
Okay, I'm sure you all heard of him, right?
Yes.
Free light traffic signal
Yes.
by Garrett Morgan in 1923. With only an elementary school education, Black inventor and son of an enslaved parent, Garrett Morgan, came up with several significant inventions, including an improved sewing machine and the gas mask. Morgan was born in Kentucky in 1877. While still just a teenager, he left home and moved to Ohio in search of work. He first worked as a handyman in Cincinnati before landing in Cleveland. One day, Morgan witnessed a terrible accident at a Cleveland intersection, and his brain once again went into solving mode. Traffic lights had already been invented, but they only consisted of 2 signals. The problem was that drivers didn't know when to go signal was going to switch to stop signal. The result was that drivers would have to stop abruptly or still be in the intersection when the vehicles traveling in the other directions began to move. Chaos, right?
Yes.
Oh, murder.
So he took it upon himself to come up with the 3-way traffic light. All right. Anybody heard of George Alcorn?
No.
Okay,
I
let's
have.
find out about him. It's probably the most famous for his innovation of the imaging spectrometer, a device that helps scientists better understand what materials are composed of when they cannot be broken down. For example, plastic cannot be broken down easily. So that's why we have a whole lot of, what do you call it now? Pollution?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
George E. Alcorn, a former assistant director of NASA Goddard Space Flight Center, is a leader in semiconductor device development and technological transfer. He is also an award-winning inventor. He holds 8 patents on over 30 inventions, including imaging X-ray spectrometer, which he invented in 1984, a device for identifying materials through visual X-ray spectra. Dr. Alcorn had a distinguished career in teaching. He is a professor of physics and electrical engineering, where? At your very hometown, Howard University, and the University of the District of Columbia. And he has been a visiting professor at all institutions. Right in your hometown. There are a few right there in DC too. We're going to look at them.
A lot of them.
Then there's Dr. Shirley Ann Jackson. She conducted successful experiments in theoretical physics and used her knowledge of physics to foster advances in telecommunications research while working at Bell Laboratories. Dr. Jackson conducted breakthrough basic scientific research that enabled others to invent portable fax, touch tone telephone, solar cells, fiber optic cables, which is what you get your cable, your internet. That's how we're getting internet these days, fiber optic cables, and the technology behind the caller ID and call waiting.
Wow. That's
Quite
amazing.
a few, isn't it? She's still alive, as you can see.
Yes.
She's the first African-American woman to earn a doctor degree from Massachusetts, MIT, as well as the second African-American woman to earn a doctorate in physics.
Wow.
Go ahead, Shirley Ann Jackson.
Isn't she phenomenal?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Dr. Shirley, also, I'm going to elaborate on a little bit on her now. Was born August 6, 1946 in Washington, D.C.
Mhm.
I
Okay.
love it.
Her parents,
What?
Patricia and George Jackson,
I'm in
encouraged
class.
her.
Come on, somebody mute.
Do we have some background?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mute
Let me
yourself.
find out who it is. All right,
Mute
I'll carry
yourself.
on. Her parents, Beatrice and George Jackson, encouraged her in school, especially her interest in science. She took accelerated programs in both math and science in high school, graduating in 1964.
Go ahead.
Okay, here it says here that she's an inventor, physicist, and the first Black woman to ever earn a doctorate from MIT.
Wow.
First. Mhm,
Wow.
mhm.
Amazing.
All right, this is Frederick McKinley Jones. He was the first successful system for the mobile refrigeration. See those refrigeration trucks that come in and bring them in the
Mhm.
milk and
Oh, yeah.
And I
Yes.
thought that was James Dean and Easter Eden.
well, let's find out. His invention eliminated the far less effective use of ice and salt to preserve foods for transport, greatly extending the distance over which food could be successfully delivered. So when
Wow.
we're on the highway and we're seeing those big old refrigeration trucks going by,
Yeah.
credit to him.
Wow.
And see, all of this information was kept from us for many, many years.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
not taught in school. It was
No.
never taught.
They
No.
don't even teach in Black
And I
history in
haven't
school
heard of
no
most
more.
of these people. I have not even heard of them.
Me
Okay.
either.
So Jones was born on May 17, 1893 in Cincinnati, Ohio. His mother died when he was 9, and he was forced to drop out of school. A priest in Covington, Kentucky raised him until he was 16. Upon leaving the rectory, Jones began working on as a mechanic helper at the R.C. Crotter's garage in Cincinnati. Jones would spend much of his time observing the mechanics as they worked on cars, taking in as much information as possible. So that's how he learned. Then we have Dr. Charles Drew. Anybody heard of him?
Oh,
Yes.
yes.
I heard of him and his daughter and his daughter. My
Yeah,
Good.
Charlie Drew.
Everybody know about Dr. Drew.
Yeah, Charles Drew,
Okay.
yeah.
An
Yeah.
American surgeon and medical researcher. He researched in the field of blood transfusions, developing
Yeah.
improved techniques
Yeah.
for blood storage, and
Yeah.
applied his expert knowledge to developing large-scale blood banks early in World War II.
There's a school named after him in Northeast. My
Charles
kids
Drew.
attended that school, Drew Elementary.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
went to that kindergarten.
And his
Oh.
daughter was a councilwoman in DC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie
Good.
Drew Jarvis. Yes.
Yes.
All right, so let's find out more. Charles's father, Richard, was a carpet layer and financial secretary of the Carpet, Linoleum, and Soft Tile Layer Union, and its only non-white member. His mother, Nora Burrell Drew, was a graduate of the minor normal school, though she never worked as a school teacher. At the age of 12, Charlie, as he was called even as an adult, became a paper boy, selling several Washington papers from street corners stand. Within a year, he had 6 other boys working for him and covering a wider area. As he got older, his after school and summer jobs included supervising at city playgrounds, lifeguarding at the local swimming pool, and work in construction. He also became the first African-American to be appointed as an examiner for the American Board of Surgery.
All right.
He's a
Wow.
DC
DC native.
native, that's the word, thank you. Then we have
I
Lonnie
know him.
G. Johnson, engineer and entrepreneur. Lonnie Johnson is the
When you
inventor
get a
of
minute,
the
Teresa, go
super
back and tell about
soaker.
how Dr. Jarvis died. When you get a minute, go back and tell how he died, which was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was a tragic.
Well, somebody heard how he died?
Yeah, we know
Yeah.
how he died. They made
Okay,
sure
well, let me just
we knew.
finish this and then we'll talk about that. All right. Lonnie Johnson is the inventor of the Super Soaker, a best-selling toy generating over 1 billion in sales over its lifetime. Johnson's longtime research focuses on energy technology and is well known by toy resulted from his work on an environmental friendly heat pump. Now tell us how he died.
Dr. Drew, he got into a car accident
Mhm.
on the road, and they took him to a southern hospital, and because he invented plasma, they didn't know who he was, but when they found out, by the time they found out, he actually bled to death, and he could have been given the
Right.
blood transfusion with
Yeah.
the blood plasma that would have saved his life.
They refused to let him in.
Yeah,
They
because he
refused to
was a
let him
black
in
man.
because
One
he
at a
was a black
time.
man.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, they did refuse him because he was a black
He was
man.
black
And
man.
Wow,
That
and
was
that's
the
not
reason
long
why.
ago.
Yeah, he bled to death. It was
Yeah.
very ironic.
So he basically bled to death because
Johnson
they
came up with the
refused to
idea
give
for the
him
super.
service because he was a black man, basically.
Right.
So
Okay.
Johnson came up with the idea for the Super Soaker after being inspired watching a stream of water from a small nozzle he had made and attached to his bathroom sink during an experiment on an environmental friendly heat pump he was developing during his spare time. He built the first prototype after rejoining the Air Force in 1982. Johnson was born in 1949 in Mobile, Alabama. That's not, he's in our generation.
Right.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I know.
And our kids, some of our kids probably have played with his toys.
Yeah,
I have.
I know my
got-
kids have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my kids have too. Yeah.
I got one.
Mhm. Okay, so now we're going to look at Janet Emerson Bashan. She's an American inventor, an entrepreneur, and the first African-American woman to hold a patent for software invention. Yes, software. The patent software link line is a web-based application for equal opportunity, also known as EEO, claims, intake and tracking, claims management, and document management. Let's see who she is. Okay. So Janet Emerson Bashan was born Janet Emerson on February 12, 1957 in Mansfield, Ohio. She was raised in Huntsville, Alabama, where her mother was the city's first Black nurse. And that's not long ago.
No.
Right.
First Black nurse. Bashan attended elementary school that had only recently been integrated, and she faced discrimination throughout her childhood and youth. She's born in our time.
Yes.
Yes.
But yet faced all because of the state, Alabama. Didn't happen in DC, did it?
No.
You all didn't go through that in DC as you went to school, right?
I did.
You did?
I was the second male. I was in the first 100 women postal carriers,
Oh,
and I was the second Black meter reader for the gas company woman.
well, thank you for sharing that, Diane. That's impressive. Very impressive. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to look at Henry Blair. He was the second African-American inventor to receive a US patent. He was born in Glen Ross, Maryland, again, DMV area, in 1807. His first invention was the seed planter, patent October 14, 1834, which allowed farmers to plant more corn using less labor in a shorter time. All right. Now we're going to look at Percy LaVaughn Julia. A later renowned scientist was Percy, a research chemist and a pioneer in the chemical synthesis of medicinal drugs from plants. He was the first to synthesize the natural product of and this is going to be a difficult one, physiostigmine, and a pioneer in industrial large-scale chemical synthesis of the human hormones, steroids, protoestrogen, and testosterone from plant sterols, such as stigmasterol,
Stigmasterol.
and sitosterol, all these medical terms. His work would lay the foundation for the steroid drug industry production of cortisone, other cortisone steroids, and birth control pills. Did
And
you know
all
that?
that stuff we
Did you
use
know that?
today.
No, we didn't.
There you go.
I didn't know that. And all that stuff we use, cortisones, birth control, testosterone, all of that we use today, some of us anyway, from the drug industry. And we didn't know that it was a black man who synthesized it and made it possible.
Yep. Cortisone I use.
Yeah.
So, and this is, yep. All right, let's find out more about him. Percy's contribution to humanity and civil rights are 18 honorary degrees and more than a dozen civic and scientific awards. He was the second African-American elected to the National Academy of Sciences and the first chemist. Percy Julian died of liver cancer in 1975 at the age of 76. He did an awful lot in those years.
He sure did.
Yes, he did.
Did you learn that at school? Any of you learned about him in
No,
school?
never heard of it.
No.
When I worked in DC public school, that's what I had my class to do Black history, really do Black history.
Okay, so now we're going to look at St. Elmo Brady. In 1916, St. Elmo Brady, born in Louis, Kentucky, became the first African-American to earn a PhD in chemistry. Yep. Wow. First in chemistry.
And he's handsome too.
Isn't he? All right. So Thomas Jennings, he was a free-born African-American and a New Yorker who became a leader of the abolitionist movement, made his
abolitionist movement.
Yeah.
Come on.
Made his fortune as the inventor of the dry cleaning process called dry scouring. Jennings was 30 years old when he received his patent on March 3rd, 1821, and becoming the first African-American inventor to own the right to his invention.
Now that's
he was the first of it then.
I mean, you think of the dry cleaning today, you wouldn't think that it was a black man that made dry cleaning possible.
Almost everything
I've never heard of.
Yeah, almost everything we do and own and work with today was you need to owe it to black people. Yes, you do.
Yes.
And that's why.
Go ahead.
And that's why we need to fight to get Black history into the schools today, because we as a people don't know these things. And when you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the power.
Yeah.
And they don't give it to the kids anymore. They don't give it anymore.
They're trying to take it out.
And if our children were taught this type of thing, it may motivate some of them to want to do something, you know?
But they will be motivated.
That's right.
They will be.
That's right.
That's very true.
Yeah.
They're trying to take it out of schools now.
They are. Yep.
They've already taken it out.
What are they calling it? Critical race theory? Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah.
CRT.
Yeah.
CRT.
What's his name? Governor? What's his
Down
name?
in Florida.
DeSantis in Florida.
Florida, yeah.
And the one in Virginia too. The one in Virginia too.
Youngkin, he's trying to do it
Right.
too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a 13-year-old granddaughter that's homeschooled, and they're not teaching them crap about Black history.
No, they're not.
Because they don't know. They don't know about Black history. That's why it was so important that I asked Teresa to do this, because Black history is so important to our generation and the generation of our children. So it's up to us now to buy a book with the Black inventors and then give it to your children, your grandchildren, as a gift at Christmas instead of giving them a toy.
That makes sense.
But you know what?
If you want to, then
find
your next project after the recipe book, you could take the data that I've gotten here and put it together as a book.
Yeah.
You can plan on doing that.
That would be interesting because I've never heard but except for maybe two people that we've gone over so far. I've never heard of any of them, and we need to put this
Wow.
out there so that everybody can know.
Yeah, because they
Mhm.
only gave
Plan on
they
doing
only
that then.
allowed the children to believe that we only had credit for 2 or 3 inventions. But
Right.
if you look at everything we use today, everything almost, Black
Right.
people had something to do with it, because
Yeah.
creation is the mother of necessity is a mother of creation.
Mhm.
And I invent things too, but my thing is, when you need something, you do invent something. Ladies, you know this. You don't have a hammer. What do you use to bang a nail in the wall?
A shoe,
A shoe.
a pair of pliers, whatever I get first.
Whatever you get.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's go on with Jennings. Jennings was born in 1791 in New York City. He started his career as a tailor and eventually opened one of New York's leading clothing shops. Inspired by frequent requests for cleaning advice, he began researching cleaning solutions. Jennings found that many of his customers were unhappy when their clothing became soiled. However, because of the material used to make the garments, conventional methods at that time, they were ineffective in cleaning them. So this is a machine he invented.
Mm-hmm.
And they use that today.
That's a presser.
That's right. They
Mhm.
That's
sure
where
do.
you
They
press
sure do.
clothes with.
Mhm.
I
All right,
used
so
to
now we're
work
going to
in the
look at
cleaning.
Granville
Granville
T.
Woods.
Woods.
Mm-hmm.
As you can see, he
Grant.
developed what is called the synchronous multiplex railway telegraph, which allowed
Mhm.
communications between trains, stations, and moving trains. This made it possible for trains to communicate with stations and other trains, though everyone knew exactly, so that everyone knew exactly where the trains were at all times.
Mhm.
Among his other inventions were an automatic air brake used to slow or stop trains, and electric car that was powered by overhead wires. Let's find out a little bit more about him. The telephone inventor, Alexander Bell's company, also known as the American Bell Telephone Company, purchased the rights to Bell's patent on an apparatus that combined a telephone and telegraph. The device, which Woods called telegraphy, allowed a telephone station to send voice and telegraph messages over a single wire. Proceeds from the sale gave Woods the luxury of being a full-time inventor. Now, if you think back Bell, you think of, Bell being the inventor, right?
Yes.
But you're now understanding who really did it.
Yes.
Right.
But because he didn't have the money to probably make it, like the Bell
And because he was Black,
he had to sell it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But
He
because
didn't get the
we're all
credit
taught
for it.
this
Oh, yeah.
in growing up
Do
in
those
school,
kind of
we're all
things.
taught that Bell did it, right?
Right.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, so you knew about,
I knew about him.
okay, Woods, okay, well, you were fortunate. I wasn't taught this. I always thought that Bell did it.
I wasn't either.
That's
I always
why,
thought the
I
bell.
wasn't
When
taught
Alex
that.
told me his name, I was like, "This is not real."
I thought he was phony too. I thought it was a scam.
Uh-huh. He didn't. I don't
Mr.
even think
Woods,
he knows he's named after Alexander Bell.
Woods, he created a lot of inventions. I have a listing of all of the Black
Right.
inventors, and he created quite
More
a
than
few.
just that.
Telephone transmitter, electric cutoff switch, relay instrument, telephone system, electromechanic brake, galvanic battery, electric railway system, roller coaster, and auto air brake.
And all those things that you just listed, especially with the trains, it's being used today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. And I'm sure his family and his descendants are not given credit for that.
They are
or
not.
being
Not only
compensated
credit,
for.
but they're
They
not
are
getting
not.
any money either.
Right, right.
That's why
So-
about Black History Month. I don't understand it, because these people should be recognized all the time, not just February. You know what I'm saying? You got to go read it in the book. I mean, they invented these things, it should be known all the time.
Right.
Mhm.
Not
It should be
just
part of
February.
the curriculum.
Yes,
It should be part of the,
Yes.
growing up in K through
Exactly.
12, it should be part of
But
the.
you know,
It
Miss
used
James,
to
when
be.
you said the curriculum, the reason why they don't want to teach this CRT stuff is because they don't want their kids to see how the Black people created and
Exactly.
invented everything and that they're currently using they don't want their kids to see they hardly created anything. A Black created it.
Mm,
Yep.
mm.
Yep.
Just like
Okay.
who do you think built Washington?
They don't want to.
Yep.
It's a
Black
black
people.
man.
Yep.
The
Benjamin
people that
Franklin
built
and
Washington, the
and
capital, and everything.
LaFont.
LaFont.
Yeah.
See,
Yes.
the problem is they don't want to see that a black man has a mind, period. It's simple.
Right.
Right.
Mm, mm,
They don't want to know that a black man has a mind,
mm, mm.
and we do.
Yeah,
You
we
know,
do.
I
That's
worked
a
under
great big part of it too.
Okay, so let's look at Madam C.J. Walker. I think we all know her, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yes, oh yes.
we don't have nappy heads.
The first Black woman millionaire by inventing a line of cosmetic and hair products aimed at Black consumers in the first decades of the 20th century. And there
Yep.
she is in her motor
Yep.
car.
with her
Those were some
crew.
funny looking cars.
Isn't she? All right, so now we're going to look at Elijah McCoy.
McCoy.
Yep,
Mhm.
And
McCoy.
there's a
Can I
story
throw-
with
can-
Elijah, so we're going to elaborate a little bit on his story. And
Come
there are
back to
several
Madam
slides
C.J.
on
Walker
him.
if you have
And then
time.
I'm using this as an example to show what really happened with being where racism played a major role in not giving credit to these individuals.
Mhm.
So let's look into that. Elijah was born May 2nd, 1844. And of course, he passed away October 10, 1929. He was the Black American inventor who received more than 50 patents for his inventions during his lifetime. His most famous invention was a cup that feeds lubricating oil to machine bearings through a small tube. Machinists and engineers who wanted genuine McCoy lubricators might have expressed the expression the real McCoy, a term meaning the real deal or the genuine article.
Yep.
Okay. Elijah was born in Colchester, Ontario, Canada. His parents, George and Mildred McCoy, had been enslaved from birth and became freedom seekers, leaving Kentucky for Canada on the Underground Railroad. At the age of 15, McCoy left the United States for a mechanical engineering apprenticeship in Edinburgh, Scotland. After becoming a certified, he returned to Michigan to pursue a position in his field. Okay. However, McCoy, like other Black Americans at that time, faced racial discrimination that prevented him from earning a position appropriate to his level of education. The only job he could find was the locomotive fireman and oiler for the Michigan Central Railroad. The fireman was a trained man. I think I have a typo there. He was responsible for fueling the steam engine and maintaining the oiler, which lubricated the engine's moving parts as well as the train axles and bearing.
Still being used today.
You're still being used today. Yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So in a case like this, because he even though he had the skills, he was certified, he couldn't get a decent job in the area of his specialty or his expertise, right? That he was trained. So he took a a lower position as a fireman. But even then, in that case, he still excelled. Right? In other words, what did he do? What is my title saying here?
He made lemons into lemonade.
Right, right. Because and that's what happened with him. Yeah. He wasn't allowed to, he couldn't get a job in his field, but he took a lower, lower paying position. And at that point, realized here, I can still do whatever it is to improve things. And he went ahead and did it. He also obtained patents for some of his other inventions, including the ironing board, today's lawn sprinkler, which he had designed to reduce the work involved in household tasks. Yes,
Still
he did this.
used today.
Great.
All both of
Today.
those things.
My mother still has my grandmother's ironing board like that.
Right. So where did the real McCoy meaning,
Right here.
right here. Here, it's a popular idiom among English speakers. It's exactly etymology. It's unknown. We don't know where it is, but they're saying, so some scholars believe it comes from the Scottish, the real Mackay, which appeared in a poem in 1856. Others believe the expression was first used by the railroad engineers looking for real McCoy system. The lubricator equipped with McCoy's automatic drip cup rather than a poor knockoff. Whatever the etymology, the expression has been associated with McCoy for some time.
Right.
In 2006, Andrew Moody developed a play based on the Inventors light called The Real McCoy.
What it was during
So
the
he turned
time.
lemons into what?
Lemonade.
Lemonade.
All right. Well, I think most of us, at least I learned about
We
it at a
always-
very young age.
Yeah, we
I think
know about him.
But we have to give credit to him in this
Yeah.
book. He's from Bay, but he was really the first, going back. So George Washington Carver became one of the leading, it's called agronomists of his time, pioneering numerous uses for peanuts, soybeans, and sweet potatoes. Enslaved from Burke in Missouri in the midst of the Civil War, Carver was fascinated by plants from an early age. Hold on, let me go back. Yeah, George Washington was born in slavery, the son of an enslaved woman named Mary, owned by Moses Carver. That's where he got his name from. During the American Civil War, George and Mary was kidnapped and taken away to be sold. Moses Carver located John, but not Mary. And George lived on the Carver property until about age 10 or 12. So his mom, and I think was it his father?
No, that's the
son.
man who's. No, that's the man who owned the Moses Carver.
Right, he owned it, right. But his mother, George's mother, was kidnapped and taken to be sold.
Right.
Right?
Both of them were kidnapped.
Yeah, both of them were
But
kidnapped.
he only found George.
But she was able to find him.
No,
Now,
Moses found
him.
Right. From that, Carver said about enlarging commercial property. In his research, this is what he came up with. This is all of this, his invention. Check out. He went about enlarging commercial possibilities of the peanut and the sweet potato through a long, ingenious program of laboratory research. He ultimately developed 300 derivative products from peanut.
Wow.
Among them, milk, flour, ink, dyes, plastic, wood stains, soap, linoleum, medicinal oils, and cosmetic, and 118 from sweet potatoes, including flour, vinegar, molasses, ink, synthetic rubber, and postage stamp glue. Now, when we use a pen today, do we think of him?
No.
Not really.
And they make us all think that he just did the peanut thing. Look at all this stuff that I
Exactly.
didn't know about.
Right.
Like the glue, and I mean he did amazing. I'm glad I've sat in on this class because it has enlarged my knowledge about him and so many others that I didn't even know about.
Yeah, among Carver's many honors were his election to Britain's Society for the Encouragement of Arts, Manufactures, and Commerce in 1916, and his receipt of the Spingarn Medal in 1923. Late in his career, he declined an invitation to work for Thomas Edison at a salary of more than $100,000 a year in 1923. I am still not making that and will never make that in my lifetime.
Like
Exactly.
billions now.
But of course, he's more than deserving of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he turned it down. US President Calvin Coolidge and Frank D. Roosevelt visited him and his friends, including Henry Ford and Mahatma Gandhi. Foreign governments requested his counsel on agricultural matters. Joseph Stalin, for example, in 1931, invited him to superintend cotton plantations in southern Russia and to make a tour of the Soviet Union, but Carver refused.
And I'm so glad he refused, because Thomas Edison wanted to use him and use his skills for a little $100,000. And the British government awarded him and acknowledged his skills, whereas the United States government did not. President visited, but that didn't mean anything.
So now we're going to look at one that's now today. Sunsight, also known as was founded as a vehicle to apply research electromagnetic interactions to problems related to energy efficiency and renewable energy. He developed an advanced lightweight low RPM generator for directive drive turbines, resulting in patent design, and then began developing the rest of the turbine. Devon currently owns 3 US patents and 1 international patent. All right, and this is what he's currently working on right now.
And what are they talking about using as renewable energies? This type of thing right here.
Right here. And I'm going to end with this. He is my husband.
I thought so.
Oh my
God. I thought
Congratulations.
Don't congratulate me. It's him you need to.
That's what I'm saying. Congratulations to him.
So he owns this
Miss
company
James,
here.
I love it.
I looked at the name, I say, oh, that got to be. That is just got to be.
Yes. And he's working with the Department of Energy, Renewable Energy right now, where he's developing and working on renewable and the turbine. And he's currently, this is his thing right now. When you see this, you see him.
Oh, I'm glad you
Tell him to keep up the
That
good
is
work.
amazing.
This
That
is
is
awesome.
awesome.
Does that have something to do with the weather?
Well, no, it's for energy.
It's renewable.
We're
Energy.
shifting,
It has something to
we're
do with
shifting from using
it's wind power.
cleaning the air.
Right.
And so
Wind
now we're
power.
looking towards solar
I'm
and
so
wind turbine
impressed.
energy.
Well,
Tell
I'm
him to
just
keep up
glad
the
that
good
he's
work.
still alive. You know, I'm glad
He's
he's
still
not
alive.
from the years ago. He's into the future. I'm glad about that. Miss
So
James.
Yeah.
he's one of the younger, he's a physicist, graduated in your hometown, Howard University.
Oh, wonderful.
And he worked for NASA for many years.
What's his name again? What's his name?
Macintosh.
Macintosh.
What's his name? Macintosh.
He's
What's
one
his
of our latest inventors that are still
Wow.
here and still,
Yes.
dealing
Tell
with.
him keep up the good work.
What is his first name, Miss James?
Devon.
He likes to be called Rocky, but his official name is Devon.
Devon. Okay.
What a
Rocky
man. What a man.
Okay.
And he's a graduate of Howard with a PhD.
I have a question.
Amen.
And he's
What a-
still
what a
doing,
man.
inventing. Mhm.
I have a question. My question is, when he invents something,
Mhm.
even though he's working at a company and it become a pattern, does he get the money or did the company get the money?
Well, it's his pattern. So
It's his pattern.
He gets it. He
gets
should get it.
Mhm.
And he can license his pattern to other people to use and get paid for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Patent.
If it's patented, yeah, he get paid.
Yeah.
Now
We
I
didn't
see.
get to cover all of them, but
because what he's proposing here is becoming the future. Sorry.
yeah.
Sorry.
He's working towards the future.
Now I know
Can you
why
go
you
back
had
to the
that smile
previous
and that
slide?
glow.
Can you go back to the previous slide so we can read more about him?
Okay, here.
Yes.
Here. So this
Oh,
is what
wonderful.
he's currently developing. This is an interview he had with a local magazine, and this is his work lab. He has 2 locations that he works out of. He has a lab that he works in, and then he has a testing site up in North Carolina where he goes up and look at his prototypes that he has there, giving him the data that he needs to meet the standards for what renewable energy is looking for.
What a man.
Oh,
What
that
a
is
man.
awesome.
Is it in Kitty Hawk?
Is he
Pardon
going
me?
to Kitty? Is it Kitty Hawk, North Carolina?
Beach Mountain,
Beach Mount. Okay,
North Carolina. Mhm.
because they have
Yeah.
some winds up there.
So
Now I see
there's
why you
another
had
native
that big
coming out
smile,
of
Teresa.
DC, Howard, your hometown. So that's
Yes.
Howard is doing things.
Oh, Howard always
Awesome.
something.
That's awesome. Awesome.
All
Teresa,
right, so we can
can I
discuss
ask
other
you
inventors
something?
now. Who do you want to talk
Teresa,
about? Who wants to share what they know as far
I
as?
Teresa,
know.
I have something that I'd like to share.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Are you all familiar with this family that was in California? And they bought beachfront property. It was in the 1920s,
Yes.
and
yes.
it was taken from them.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
now the family is being reimbursed for them taking that property from them. I think
Oh,
they're
wow. Oh,
like
wow.
like millions and millions. The property
Yes,
is worth millions. So
right.
they're,
I don't
they're
know the
getting
family
paid
name.
for the family. It was called the Bruce family,
Mhm.
and they seized their property, and now it's worth millions, and they're getting paid. So I'm happy for them.
They should
Yeah.
be.
Is
And
that
why
down
did this happen?
Malibu?
Because they weren't allowed to use the regular beaches back in the.
Right,
Right.
right. Yes. So
Also, there's
that's
there's a movie. I don't know if anybody saw this movie about this. It was at John Hopkins University. This is something that happened where a lab technician, he wanted to be a doctor. He couldn't afford to be a doctor because of financial circumstances. So he decided to work with an actual doctor to develop something to do with the body and the
That was
function of the body.
Vivian.
Pardon me?
Vivian.
Oh, so you know the movie.
Yes, it was an
Yes.
excellent
Okay, let's talk
movie.
about that. Tell us what
Yeah.
you remember about that movie.
Well, he was.
Most Def played that part.
She said, "Tell him about the movie, Ron."
He was an assistant to
Yes.
one of the professors,
Mm-hmm.
but he actually developed the system that was used, but he couldn't take credit for it. But you can still see his picture in the lobby at Johns Hopkins Hospital.
He worked on the project for
Years.
resuscitating the syndrome called blue babies.
Okay.
When the babies
For
were
infant,
born with a lack of
sudden
oxygen.
infant death syndrome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So he was the one to do he actually did the first successful surgery on a blue baby to restore the cardiac health and to oxygenate the baby. But he was not allowed to take credit for it at that time.
Wow.
We've had to endure so much.
How many
people?
The movie Miss Walker, the movie Miss Walker movie.
Come on.
Do the hair.
Miss Cleaner.
Madam C.J. Walker.
Yeah, you ever watched the movie?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's very good.
Yes, it is. It's really a good movie.
How about did you see?
Do you guys remember the Flint, Michigan water crisis?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Have you ever heard of Mr. Moses West?
No.
Moses
Name sounds
West.
familiar.
Moses West is a ex-military man who invented a machine that made water out of the air, and he almost single-handedly solved the Flint, Michigan fresh water crisis.
Oh, wow.
That's what it was.
Yep. Look him up. He's relatively young. He's in our time.
Let's look him up. I'm gonna look him up now.
Yeah, look him up now. His name is Moses West.
Moses West. Okay.
Moses West.
Yep. And he's currently offering his machine. He's making them smaller so that households can have them. And they tried to break the machine up because the people in Flint weren't getting help from the government. And because Flint, Michigan is a poor, relatively impoverished area, he came up with the machine. See? Moses West. He was from Texas.
Let's see if they let us watch the video. Oh, what did they, hold on. They want me to sign in? No.
Don't do that.
No, I don't want to do that.
You
So
can,
it reads
you can
here that in his effort to combat ongoing water crisis and eliminate drought, a Texas man is bringing clean water to people around the world. Moses West, founder of the Atmospheric Water Generating Contracting LLC, has made it his personal mission to bring clean, affordable drinking water to those in need. And this is in 2015.
Yep, and he took it to Trinidad and all those places where they had the
He's
tornado.
reading.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead and talk. Go ahead.
Yeah, he's taking it to taking his machine to all the areas where they had natural disasters, like Puerto Rico, all the Tobago Islands, all those islands over there. And they were trying to stop him from doing that. But now he's on the move. They can't stop him.
Yeah, here it is here.
They know about him, and they should have used him. Well, you said they used him in Flint, Michigan, but they got another problem down in Mississippi down there too with the water. And they knew about him, but they suppressed it. So
yep, they did.
That's interesting. I didn't know about him myself.
Let's see, I think I found one here that I probably could share. Let's see, a little video on him.
This has been one educational morning for me.
Yeah, me too.
Is the sound?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me turn the sound on. Okay, let's hear it now.
But Moses West knows a water crisis is quietly growing.
Everybody knows we're running out of water.
A problem the retired ranger spent the past 4 years working to eliminate.
All the water that we need it exists right here in the air.
He believed so strongly in that idea. In 2015, West invented an atmospheric water generator, or AWG, a machine that takes in air and turns it into drinking water.
We're at the place now, I think, making 50, 100, 200, 250,000, a million gallons of water at an incredibly low energy consumption. I think cheaper than groundwater by far. Cheaper than desalination.
So far, 12 of these AWGs exist. West planted them in 3 areas, including the Bahamas, Puerto Rico, and Flint, Michigan.
I need to engage with the people. I need to show them what I...
So that's it. As far as, thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ms. James, for presenting this to us today, because
yes, Teresa, this was so beautiful.
It was. I love it. I haven't. I mean, just knowing about all these people, it just makes my skin shake, because this stuff has been kept from us. We're grown-ups. All these years, this stuff has been kept from us. Now we can pass it on down to our kids and grandkids, and because that's how we probably educate our kids about Black history.
Right. Pass on knowledge.
Can we
How
just
many of
end the
y'all
month
saw
isn't
the
over
movie?
with?
How many of y'all saw the movie? What was it titled? Hidden Figures.
Yep.
Yes.
Hidden
Oh,
Figures.
yeah.
I did.
Yes. Oh, yes. About the Black women. Yeah, the 3 women.
Yes.
Yeah. Hidden Figures. I've seen it several
Yeah,
times.
oh, that.
Yeah,
Me too.
I keep watching it over and over. Yes, I enjoy watching it, actually.
And they
Gentleman
named the
Moses?
street. They named the street right around the corner from me at Nassau called Hidden Figure Way.
Really?
Yes.
What was Moses'
Awesome.
entire name? What was Moses's full name? that we
Moses
just-
West,
Thank
W-E-S-T.
Thank you.
Teresa, can we do this again? I mean, it's still February. The
Yeah,
month
we
isn't
can do it.
over.
I mean, you know what?
Again.
People have a fake thing of not fake, but Black History is only 1 month. Black History is every day of the year.
And that's what I was getting ready to say.
That's what I was
Black
saying.
history is
I don't know why they give
365
us
days a
that's
year.
February. That's not, that's crazy.
And Kathy Hughes, or who?
I mean, it's not to put anybody else down, any other race down, but come on. We deserve to have history every day of the year.
Well,
That's
who
right.
decided? Who decided if
owns
February
Radio
was Black
One
History
station?
Month?
She said if we don't teach Black history every day, they're gonna make it down to Negro Week.
It's gonna
That's
be
how
one
it
day of the
started.
year.
But you
one day
guys
of
know
the
with
year.
Kathy Hughes, she had offered everybody a chance to buy into her company for $100, and everybody ignored. I ignored too. But right now, that $100 stock will be worth over $1.3 billion now.
Wow.
Mhm.
And
Oh
who
yeah,
is that?
she rich.
Who is this?
Kathy Hughes.
Hughes,
Oh,
the syndicated radio and radio
Yes.
She
lady.
owns her
TV
own
One.
Radio
radio.
She
One.
owns her station.
Miss Young, James.
Radio One.
Mm-hmm.
And
all the-
Howard School of Journalism is named after her. It's the Kathy
Yeah.
Hughes Howard
Yeah.
School of Journalism at Howard
Her
University.
radio,
Yeah.
her radio
Didn't
station used
she
to
start
be on
HUR?
No,
WOL.
she
No.
started.
No.
No.
Yes.
Was on there.
Oh, she
WOL.
was on HUR, right?
Yeah, she was
That's
on.
where she started.
Okay.
She started
Okay.
WOL radio
WOL.
WOL.
Oh, WOL.
on
Uh-huh.
8th Street Northeast.
Yes, and
Amen.
now it's TV One.
Yeah, that's where she
She's
used
owner
to
of
be on
TV
8th Street.
One.
Oh,
Her
okay.
Kept on
Radio
telling
One was
people
on 8th
to buy into her radio station back in the day. She kept on telling people to buy a share into her station.
That
But
was
like
in 2004.
No,
2004.
long
Mhm.
before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when she first started going out on her own to be syndicated, because they were running her out. And so she said she wanted to start something new and everybody can get in from the ground thing. My husband knew her and she was begging us to do it, but he didn't do it and I didn't know enough to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. She
Miss
started right at 4th and 8th Street Northeast on the corner with her
Yeah.
little radio
Miss
station,
Miss
WOL.
I remember WOL.
I used to listen every morning.
Yeah.
Listen
And
to
then
it.
So
you have,
And
I
her-
think this Black
Angie Lewis.
History thing, Teresa, was very enlightening. I think you did a great job on it.
Mhm.
It really did.
well, it's
Uh-huh.
my
And
great
it
pleasure.
opened up everybody's mind and possibilities and, spurred on a good feeling. It's very encouraging.
now I was wondering if anybody remembers if any hello?
We hear you, Sheila.
Okay. I don't know. I was just wondering if anybody had said anything about what's her name? Johnson, the one that became owner of the basketball team.
Sheila.
Sheila
Johnson. Sheila Johnson.
You
Is
know
that
who
her
was
name?
married to the Johnson?
Yeah.
BET Bob Johnson. BET.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Then she became owner of the basketball team.
They down in North Carolina.
Yeah.
That's where they are. They own the team in North Carolina.
Yeah, she got $1 billion in their divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My auntie
She owns something
was,
in Virginia too, Salamander.
Yeah,
don't
but
know,
she
daughter-
also
Yeah.
has the old what is that Oriental hotel on as you
The
go
man-
down.
The
What is that,
Mandarin.
Orient? She bought
Mandarin.
that. She bought that. She
Yes.
bought the Oriental Hotel as you go out to 295, not 295, 395 going.
It's right in Southwest.
Going by Main Avenue. She
Yeah,
bought
the
that.
Mandarin.
She's now
renovating that into, I think it's gonna be part of what is it, Salamander? That's in Virginia.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So she's still on the move.
Middleburg.
Yeah, she's still on the move.
Yeah.
Yeah, my auntie was the first Black woman who owned a funeral parlor in Maryland.
Oh, okay.
Her name
Which
is
one is
Betty.
that?
Her name is, well, it's not there anymore. It was an old red barn that was on Silver Hill Road. Her name was Betty Ann Comer. Rest in peace. But
What was the
she
name
was
of the funeral home?
I don't know. And that's like,
Okay.
I don't know.
It
I
was
was too young.
wasn't that on Marlboro Pike at one time?
Yep, it was on Marlboro Pike.
I
Yep.
remember that. Yeah.
It was the old red barn, remember?
Yes, I do remember
And
that.
she turned it into a funeral home. And she
then
kept
she
it
moved-
operating and going for a long time, but then it affected her health. The embalming fluid, and she got depressed. She got severely depressed because most of the people were coming were young. They were young people that were coming through her hands, and she got depressed and got sick too. So she's not here, but you can read about her too.
What was her name?
Betty.
What was okay? So I googled it, and this is what I came up with. Binus Royal Funeral Home is the oldest African American funeral home in. Oh, this is in the United States. I put in DC.
Yeah,
it's
no, it's not.
in Maryland.
It's in Suitland.
In Maryland. Okay, let me look Maryland then.
I think it was Capitol Heights, Maryland.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Or Suitland.
It was Suitland.
Suitland, I'll put that in Suitland, Maryland. But you can carry it.
But you know what, Teresa? I think that's a good idea. After that cookbook that we do, a Black History book.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's a good idea. It's our job. It's our obligation to do that as seniors.
Everybody can do a
And
page
maybe
or
we
two
could get it in the
pages.
schools.
I didn't hear you, Teresa.
Huh?
I didn't hear what you say.
I said everyone could do 1 or 2 pages of that book.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great idea because this information has been kept away from our race of people and all races of people. And we need to put it out there and just make it available to people so that everybody will know this critical race stuff. We got to fight that by putting the truth out there. Because if we have to do a book to do it, then we do a book to do it. But I was so impressed, Ms. James, about all this information you gave to us today because I never heard it before.
Yeah.
Some of it's sad.
We can also give them to our kids, our grandkids as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
They know, the more they know about their past, then it will motivate them
to stop doing some of the stuff that they're doing now.
Bridget could show us how to publish and we could put them in the DC public schools.
Yes.
Yes.
They need it. They need them in the DC public school. It's sad to say I worked under a Black principal, and my last 3 years working there, she didn't want me to do Black History Month.
Wow.
Really? Do we have any
so sad.
school teachers here? I know
Who?
one, but she's
I
not
am.
DC public
Yeah,
school.
I used to
work at DC Public School.
I used to teach
stories
driver's
about-
ed in Maryland.
Hello.
I tutored
worked
in
at DC Public School
I
and
gave
in North
DC
Carolina.
Public School 40 years.
At one
Selma Jarrett.
time, y'all talking all over each other. Can nobody hear?
Everybody's
Excuse me.
excited.
One at a time.
Yeah, I worked
tutored
at DC Public School
school.
and North Carolina.
Okay,
I
thank
worked
you.
in DC Public School, emotional special ed kids, and my daughter used to be a principal here in DC Public School, and now she teaches in Maryland.
All right.
I'm getting ready to go back and volunteer with DC Public School for 5th and 6th graders.
Go ahead. I taught in DC public schools in Evan,
And
Washington.
3rd graders, because they need us. They need
You
us.
are
babe.
brave.
So let's put
So
this
why
book
you quit?
together. Get the book together and get it out into the DC public schools, beginning with them, and especially in the elementary level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can move from there. But the key is to get the book ready, gift it to your kids and grandkids, and then get it into the elementary school in DC.
Yeah.
Look, I got enough of them.
Mm-hmm.
you know, yeah, put them out to the
inspire them.
younger kids.
Inspire
That's
them
right.
to
Put them
become
out to the younger kids.
better.
That's the way to go, because once they get older, if you don't put it on an iPod or an iPad, they're not even gonna listen.
You know what,
Good
Teresa?
idea.
That's right. That's right
I
about
look,
Who's saying that? Who's
I
that?
look, mhm.
I did.
Sheila, you are so on point on that one.
But that's
Yeah,
true.
I
That is
do.
so true.
Mhm.
Because everything is gone on computer now.
digital.
These people,
Right.
these kids, the only thing they know is computer. They are not gonna read nothing. They ain't gonna read nothing unless it's on their iPad or iPhone.
But
Okay.
you know what? My grandson went to college and he knew that he couldn't afford certain things. He made himself a computer
There
Oh my
you go.
God.
What?
from scratch.
Wow.
Go ahead.
I
That's how
am
you
Be an
Out
do
of
it.
inventor.
so
need,
proud of him.
out of need
How you
becomes
on
what?
the screen?
Out of need becomes what? Out of necessity becomes what? Opportunity.
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 Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He couldn't afford one, so he built his own. And
Mhm.
he
Yeah.
learned along the
That's something nice to put on there.
Yep.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Invention.
There you go.
Yes,
There
it
you
is.
go.
There it
There
is.
you go.
Yeah. So I'm really feel privileged to be able to share this information with you today. I will continue looking at others, not necessarily inventors, but others that made a difference here.
Yes.
Mhm.
And I'll present that again to you. I'll do my research and get that going. Okay.
Oh,
Like the
thank you,
hidden
Miss
You made a
James.
fantastic, you did a
Thank you,
fantastic
Miss
job.
Like
James.
the women of the hidden
Thank you.
figures.
Yeah, we
Thank
can
Oh,
definitely
wow.
look at all of those. Yes, we can look at the history behind that. We can. There's one movie that I have in mind that I haven't requested but planning. It's a movie called Just Mercy. How many of you seen that movie?
Lord,
Oh,
yeah.
I
Lord.
yeah.
think I've seen it.
Yes.
I haven't. I have.
Yes.
Is that
What's
with
the
It's a good
Jamie
movie?
movie.
Foxx?
And
It's
then
a good
discuss it.
movie.
And then
It's a
discuss
really
it
good
at the
movie.
end. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that
Lord.
movie with Jamie Foxx?
Yep.
Okay.
What's the
No.
name of it?
Just
Just
Mercy.
cause.
So we're gonna be watching that
He
on.
said just cause.
I'll tell you what Thursday we're gonna be watching that. We're gonna be watching that Thursday, the 2nd of March.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay, thank
And
you.
what's the name of the other movie I was talking about? What's the name of the other movie?
What, Hidden Figures?
Oh yeah,
No,
that's
We
it.
can
Oh
watch it.
yeah.
it was
I
one
haven't
Know
seen
that.
that
Yeah.
one either. I
I
haven't
have
seen
watched
Yeah.
that about 5
Todd
times.
played that part.
Yeah.
It was another one.
I
It
have
was
watched
another
it
one
about
y'all was
5
talking about.
times.
That was a bad
You
movie.
talking about
Hidden
Miss
Figures.
Walker? You talking about Miss Walker movie?
Maybe
No, it was
No,
one.
it's
I think it
Hidden
was one more in
Figures.
between there.
C.J. Walker.
No, it was another one between C.J. Walker and Hidden Figures. I thought it was
Is that
one
the
more
one about
movie.
Hopkins, John Hopkins?
Yes.
Vivian.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the
Vivian.
name of that movie?
Hmm?
Maybe you
What's her
can.
name? Diane, you know it. What is it?
The
I
Vivian
don't
what?
know the name of the movie. All I know is
What was her
I
name?
look it up.
Vivian?
It was
No,
a
I don't.
beautiful mind.
A Beautiful Mind.
Yes.
No,
Yeah,
that.
Okay. Thank.
Most Def played that part.
Okay, A Beautiful Mind.
The
Okay.
rapper
Mine.
Most Def. Yeah.
So Miss James, maybe you can request those movies for us to watch.
Okay, I will do definitely doing that. We're
Beautiful
talking about
mind.
on a regular basis once a week. We eventually like to do it once a week at some point, but we need to get the
That's
staff on
good.
board with that. But
Let's
I'm gonna pull it through until that happens.
add Shawshank Redemption to that list. That was a good one.
Okay,
What?
give me a chance. Let me write these down. I need to be writing these down.
Morgan Freeman, The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, I've seen that. But
That'll
No.
be good.
no.
Yeah, let's do that. That's good.
I ain't like that.
Well,
Yeah, it was
I didn't learn
controversial.
to
I
like
It was
hear
it.
you,
good
Thelma.
though,
You're right.
Thelma. It was a
That's a
good
But
long
movie.
It was
movie.
real good.
You're right.
I
That's a
didn't
real
like that.
controversial movie. It really
Yes,
was
it was good
controversial.
because
And
he
I
had a
did
What
not
way.
again,
like it.
Ronald? Shark what?
what about
Shawshank.
Shawshank.
Shawshank
Redemption.
Redemption.
Shawshank.
It's so
SHAW Shank.
Thanks.
yes.
Shawshank
Yeah.
Redemption.
They
I
But
have.
what
redid
about
it.
the Green Mile?
Mile? What about the Green Mile?
Lord
The
Jesus.
Green Mile was
Green
an
Mile.
excellent movie. Yeah.
That was
John
John.
Coffey. John
You get
Coffey.
that on Channel
Like the
32.
drink was spelled different. I love that movie.
I do too.
I think Hidden Figures would be a nice one.
I'm putting
Yeah,
that
his
on
me some-
biggest
the
is
list.
Yes.
I
yeah, it's
smell
a
me some
nice
cornbread.
and it's educational
It
too.
smells
Yeah.
cornbread.
Mhm.
And this one is too.
Are you cooking cornbread?
No.
Uh-oh.
Ronald,
Huh?
you cooking cornbread?
It
No,
go,
no,
Denise.
no. That
It
was
go,
the farce in
Denise.
the Green Mile when John Coffey was in his cell and he said, "I smell me some
Those want some
cornbread."
cornbread.
Okay, so it's getting that time now where I must begin preparing for my afternoon program.
Thank you, Miss Teresa.
Anybody that would like to get a Zoom
What is it?
program, please have your image ready. And if you don't, then let me know as soon as we get into the meeting. We could start.
I didn't hear what you said.
Virtual background for the Zoom. We'll be looking at that this afternoon, setting up your virtual background for Zoom. Okay.
I think I'm gonna chime into that class again so I can get that virtual background stuff
Maybe you'll
down.
get it done this time. Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
May I say one thing?
Go ahead, Diane.
Teresa, so far that I've been in your classes, everything that you have showed us have been very knowledgeable for all of us. And I just want to thank you. I'm giving you your flowers now. You are a great teacher.
I'm giving you your
So
praise.
is Alex.
Yes, you are.
I'm giving you your
Praise
praise.
and blessings.
Thank you so much. Thank
That's
you.
why we're the James gang.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
much. My goal is
That's
to
why
make-
we're the James gang.
Right.
We don't
And
rob stagecoaches.
Alex,
That's
your
what we
sister,
got. That's what
We
we
don't
got.
rob
Excuse
stagecoaches.
me.
We're the James gang.
Teresa,
We the James
your
gang.
sister
Yeah.
Alex, he's very good too.
Yes,
Yes, he is.
Yes, Alex is very good.
You know,
and
imagine
patient.
that he's not Black, but he's going to be doing Black developers next week. You all know that?
No.
He's gonna do
He's
what?
going to be doing a presentation on Black developers.
Oh, okay.
So look
That'd
out
be
for that.
good.
The presentation that he did before was really good.
Yeah.
Earlier this month.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that's what makes him a good partner for me.
Yes, yes.
That's
I
right.
mentioned Alex too.
preparing
You know,
him
all
for my
white people
exit at
and
some
all
point.
Black people are not bad.
Yeah.
That's true.
And you know what, Teresa? Lou did a good job when he hired you for a teacher.
Oh, well, I'm glad you're telling me that, Denise, because believe me, there are times when with this new way they're doing things now, I've got to step up. I have to step up and say, look, I'm doing my work, I'm delivering, and please leave me alone.
Right.
All right.
Right, Teresa.
No, you don't
I
tell them to leave you
enjoy it.
alone. Tell them to give you a raise.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're doing.
I emphasize that it's the seniors that matters to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing else.
All right.
Remember this saying, Teresa. If they talking bad about you, that means you're doing something right.
You're doing good. You're doing a great.
That's right.
You always remember that.
And Miss James, I'd like to say that you have a lot of patience with us seniors, and I appreciate that.
I do too.
You do.
Alex does too. Alex does too.
Alex does.
Yes.
He is so calm
Yeah,
and
That's
patient.
why he's under my wing, because I realized that about him, and I took him under my wing.
Yeah.
Teresa, you
Well, you all
married
a good team together.
Yeah.
All of you all are very good. All of you are good. I mean, you
Yeah.
just each got your own areas, but you're good in all of it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. So
So
okay,
everybody
so
have a
that
good
we do,
day.
right?
You too.
you married to all of us.
Okay.
Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
bye-bye.
Have a good
All
day.
right.
Love you all.
Love
Bridget,
you.
You too.
Bridget,
Thank you,
call
Teresa.
me.
Yeah,
Thank you,
yes,
Miss
hon.
James. You appreciate it. You
Call me.
I'll call
appreciate
you.
Miss James.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you
Bye,
later.
son.